point, we will explore the world of agriculture naman po and agribusiness with the experts from this field. Commonly, OFWs invest in lands back home, and now we can discuss how you can turn them into successful agribusiness, which can not only provide food for the table, but jobs for your communities. This segment is powered by Lifecore, Dean and DeLuca, Universal Leaf PH, Bounty Fresh, Lloyd Laboratories, and iFern Kim's Diary. And joining us for this discussion are, and please help me welcome them with a round of applause, farmer and environmentalist of King Tower Farm, Miss Angie Mead King. Hey, Angie.
Hello,
What's
afternoon.
up? Hi, have a seat.
Hi, good afternoon.
Also with us is founder and president of Yovel East Agri Ventures, Mr. James Amparo. Hi, Sir James. You can have a seat. Or do you want to? That's Sir James. Okay. President and founder of Lionheart Farms Philippines, Mr. Christian Moeller is here. Hi, welcome. CEO and founder of AgBeam Farms, Mr. Luis Macalincag is here. Okay, gentlemen, welcome. And please have a seat. All right. Agribusiness. Okay, as someone who has like a dream of growing her own veggie patch, which is obviously nowhere near what you guys are doing, I'm so interested to hear your thoughts on this whole like agribusiness situation. Okay, let's start with our first question, which is, why is agribusiness a suitable entrepreneurial or investment option for OFWs and their families? Can we talk a little bit about the pros and cons, please? And anybody who wants to start can just jump in. And you can, like converse amongst each other too, of course, if you want to jump in. Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Christian.
Well, I'm obviously not a Filipino, but Filipino at heart.
Same.
I think that the opportunity in farming is quite incredible in the Philippines. And I say this really in the context of looking out in the world. You know, everything grows in the Philippines if you can give it the right love.
Yes.
And I was talking to Angie earlier, right? And you were telling me about how you could learn anything.
Yes.
So if you apply yourself, Angie, why don't you share like some of the learning that you've been going through?
So when I first started farming, I thought buying fruit trees and having a bee colony, it should be easy. We just plant it, everything works. I was mistaken. You have to learn circular economy from taking care of the soil, the microbiology, all the way to taking care of the pollinators, and then you can have a closed loop economy. And I got into farming because I wanted to take care of bees. And I needed to realize that, yeah, I need to look into the whole system and not just one thing.
But I think what we both agreed on and connected on very quickly is that if you really apply yourself, it's an incredible learning opportunity.
Yes, and it's rewarding.
Yes, and you know, it's once you see, if you imagine if you just plant one thing every day, then all of a sudden you have a full farm.
Yes.
You know, you find the combination in all the things that you can do, and it's quite beautiful.
But like, let's talk about that in a business perspective, right? Because again, we're talking to an audience of OFWs who are looking into possibly getting into the agriculture business, right? Like, is this suitable in your opinion, and why?
Well, so I actually attended a seminar in Bohol where they spoke about agri-tourism, where you can have the agricultural side supporting the hotel, and which is what I do actually for our hotel, Hotel Ava in Malate. all our vegetables get sent to the hotel, and that's what we use for the menu of the guests.
Oh, wow. So you grow the mga produce
Yes.
na ginagamit for the food.
Yes, it's not, we obviously consume some of it, but we supply our employees and we supply also the hotel. So we are able to guarantee that there's no pesticides,
Yeah.
and then we're able to
Ay,
guarantee.
organic? Parang organic yun, di ba?
Well, so I have a different interpretation of
Ang
organic.
technical,
That's
oh
one
my
hour
gosh.
topic.
Oo.
So technical.
Simple lang sa akin, di ba? So for me, organic, I take care of bees. Buhay pa yung bees ko.
Oh,
So
wow.
that means we're organic. If we're spraying anything, mamamatay yung bees eh.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Sir James.
Yes.
Agribusiness. Would you recommend it for the OFWs to get into?
Yes, definitely. But for the OFWs now, they need to look initially for the big brother in their area. Like for example, us. We are now nearing about 8,000 plus farmers. We provide seeds, fertilizer, and then we buy back the produce of our farmers and we also market it. So it provides a cushion for the farmers that there's a secured market. If you talk about agriculture, it's only in agriculture that you would learn that there's always jackpot and lugi. Because the farmers don't even know how much would they sell their produce during harvest. Imagine that. You don't know the price of your product. It's only in agri that there's something like that. So what we provide is more of a stability on how to deal with the agricultural sector. So, for example, with our farmers here, if you're in Quezon, we have an office in Quezon. If you're planting rice, corn, vegetables, we can support you with the financing. We can provide you with the seeds, fertilizer that you need, and we can even support you, and we can buy back and market your produce. If you're in Davao, we are one of the biggest grower now of durian.
Durian?
Yes,
oh,
and we
I
export-
love
we
durian.
export
I
to-
love.
export to
I am
China.
a big consumer over here. Yes.
Imagine just to encourage everyone in agri. In 1 hectare of durian with about 100 trees, you can earn a gross income of about 700,000 to 1.2 million
Wow.
for 1 hectare. You just need to do the technical, the technology, how to do it well. And we've mastered that already in our company. So we have a joint venture program for our farmers, and we're also taking part of the risk because we're providing all those needs na kailangan nila. So kung pag na-disaster sila, part din kami. So that's why, tawag dito, it's a relationship that you build with your farmers.
Okay, yes. Again, very comforting that we have a platform like this that can help.
Big brother.
Yes, you're the
Literal.
big brother.
Literal big.
Luis, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, when we talk of agribusiness, we first have to look at the business side, right? And in any business, the most important part is market and production, which is basically what will drive profits and your returns. And so, syempre, the reason why we left the country is so that we can earn a living and we can actually do something more meaningful with what we have. And so I think that agriculture in general is a very good business for our Filipinos because this is where we started from, right? This is the business that built the Philippines. This is what built our reputation as a producer of food back in the day. And I think now, more than any time, is the best time to come back to it.
I thought it was so interesting, Christopher, though, that you said that you can grow anything. Because my next question has to do with what is the best, produce that maybe our, OFWs could look into? Like maybe that's something in demand or maybe it's easy to grow. But you were saying that you can pretty much grow anything, just show it the right love.
We have biases.
Well, I mean,
Oh, may biases eh.
this is
Okay.
the coconut guy, that's the dragon fruit.
The rice.
The rice.
I mean,
the rice.
honestly, with all of you, the truth is that it's hard work. And things don't always grow automatically. So that's why I think the point we were trying to make before is that you really have to study, you have to be willing to learn, and you really have to apply yourself to hard work. But I want to also, you need to take a very long-term view with agriculture.
Yes.
And you need to really carefully, if you're going to invest, you need to think very carefully about organizing yourself to basically manage through that period. Because if you're going to plant durian, like what James said, or coconut, like what we do, imagine it takes 5, 7 years before you become to
The
what we
cycle.
could call fruit-bearing trees, right? So also you need to be really focused on using the right varieties, and it's not a lazy farmer's job like what many of us have observed. And that's why actually agriculture in the Philippines is struggling. I prepared a little bit of a special thing for you later, which I'm going to share with you, because for me, it's really about how do we answer the big question. And what is the big question?
What is it?
The big question is, where is the next generation of farmers going to come from?
Oh.
Right? That's the big question. And once we ask that question, can begin to talk about what is then the criteria. And I like to say that we need to make farming sexy, right? What does that mean? And all you see here is sexy farmers, right? Now, but why are we saying that? Because it appeals to the younger generation. And it starts to ask the question about what are all those new skills that can come into agriculture. And just before, we were talking to some of the influencers, right? So they're very keen to get involved in helping to promote, well, food products, agri-products, right? So what we need to do is throw the old perception of what farming is like and move and find that answer to the next generation.
Do you find that, yeah? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like the younger generation maybe not seeing this as very appealing or sexy. Do you worry about it? And are you doing anything about that? Angie, I mean, I think you're making it very cool. You're
Well,
definitely one of those people.
Sexy.
We're definitely
Sexy.
trying to bring in technology to make farming easier and more accessible for everyone. But I believe what you're saying, because the Philippines is struggling to find the future generation for farming. And the nice thing with farming is you can do farming anywhere. Your balcony, your bathroom, even down to sprouts. Who's familiar with the Mongo sprouts that you used to do in science lab? Did you guys know that sprouts, you can eat it within 1 to 7 days?
Di ba parang tinatapon lang yun and then it will grow by itself? And
Well,
then,
that's the thing diba? Even down to that, you can farm that, and it's a big thing. When you sell microgreens and sprouts, you can do that in your own home. You don't need a green thumb, you don't need soil. You can farm that at home and supply. And to answer your question, kanina, the best thing to grow is what your market will buy.
Okay.
So if you're growing something that no one's buying, then you're
Right.
not making a living off it, diba?
But how do we find out? I mean, what are the ways na we can find out, okay, ito yung parang, this is what people are looking for? I mean, because I'm no expert. Like, I wouldn't know how to figure that out.
Well, I'm different because we're supplying our hotel when they tell us we need everything from the
Yes.
Bahay Kubo, like all the vegetables from Bahay Kubo. That's what we're trying to grow. So it's different for all of us. I found out that you're not growing any coconuts. 3,000 hectares, no coconuts.
No coconuts.
Yeah.
So we are what we call nut nuts, right?
Right?
Oh,
So
okay.
interesting.
Right.
So you have to grow something that you know someone is going to buy so you can make a living off it. That's what I'm basically trying to share. And to make farming cool, you have to bring in technology.
Technology.
To give the farmers an easier time. Like when we're doing compost, having a shredder will process things faster. Obviously, the greenhouse allows us to control the temperature a little better and not spray pesticides. So all these little things that technology has that will improve the farmers' productivity also.
Okay. Sir James, you're into rice.
Yes,
diba?
rice.
So, I mean, I guess that's kind of a no-brainer because that's a staple for us here
Yes.
in the Philippines, right? But was there a reason why you decided on rice other than that?
I started rice because it's more of an advocacy.
it's
Because
an
our
advocacy.
rice really is quite complicated. Imagine, we're a rice-eating nation. We have a lot of rice areas, 3+ million hectares, but we're one of the biggest importer of rice now.
Yes.
Look at the an analogy of it, no? We have the best farmers in the world, They still study here, but our rice is not competitive. Our rice, to produce rice of 1 kilo of fresh palay, fresh, would cost us around 19 to 23 pesos per kilo. If you go to Vietnam, it only costs them about 4 to 5 pesos per kilo. The
Wow.
rice already at 5% broken is at only about 10, 12 pesos. Us is about 40, 45, 50. So you plus it, it's quite expensive. But how come we have the best farmers in the world? They still study here. We have the technology and all. So the problem there is that our farms are highly fragmented. There's no economy of scale. Even though we talk about technology, the farmers don't have the capacity to use those technology. For example, for you to buy one tractor, which costs about 2.5 million, you need to have at least 20, 30 hectares. If you only have a 1 hectare, how can you pay back the tractor? Something like that. So how can farming be sexy? It needs to be profitable. That's the number one. If you ask the children of our farmers now, old farmers, they don't want to go to farming because they saw the lives of their father and mother. They didn't earn, naghihirap sila. Tama. So why would they go there? And even the father and the mother is not encouraging them to go to agri. So very critical, very important. Agriculture needs to be profitable. And believe me guys, no, agri is profitable.
Okay, okay.
We just need to find the right way how to do it.
Right, and that's why you guys are up here, because you're going to tell us how to, make this business profitable in case they want to get into this. Luis, your thoughts on, everything that our panelists shared?
Well, it's quite interesting, no? Because Angie a while ago mentioned that it has to be, the market is very important, and then it has to be profitable. And it's actually all connected because at the end of the day, you have to match the profits and the actual farmer. Because you now have to look at yourself as to what kind of resources and capacity am I actually able to give. For example, I'm into dragon fruit farming, but I did not start it with dragon fruit. I started with lettuce, I started with pineapples, I started with coffee, because we're based in Tagaytay. So at the time, the Amadeo and that side was known for coffee. And so we started from that. And I started with my grandfather's small piece of property. And at this time, I was in college. And I wanted to grow and continue the farm business there, but it was losing money. So I had to learn and apply myself and learn other crops. And then when I stumbled upon dragon fruit, that's when I found that, my time, the capacity that I was able to give to the farm matched the kind of crop that people were actually willing to buy. And so there must also be a conscious effort for us to look at crops as from the market side, but also from what I have. What can I do that makes it realistic and at the same time feasible?
Very good advice here. Okay.
And if I can just add to that,
Yes.
a lot of the time when we are together, those of us who are very actively working in agriculture, we always come back to the question of scale. And this is what James mentioned before. So my best advice to you is to think creatively about how you can achieve scale. And that could be through collaboration, right? So, think about it like this. How can you cultivate together with others? How can you bring the different complementary skills together so that you can achieve that kind of scale? And I would also suggest, try to not be alone. Try to not be unsupported. Because if you come together, you can actually be, so to speak, stronger as one rather than alone. Because one of the risks when you are alone is that, you overwork yourself, you miscalculate the risks. But if you're just a few of you together, you can have a more open, transparent dialogue about those risks so that you don't expose yourself too much to the inevitable weather change and things like that, markets that fail, crops that go bad. So it's really, think of it like it's any other business. Don't get too romanticized about it being agriculture. And because it's agriculture or farming, you don't have to think. You think of it like you were running any other shop.
Okay, okay, this is great. All right. I know, Christopher, we have something you want to share, right?
Yes.
Would you like to do that? And please
we-
feel free to, jump in and ask questions or whatever,
So if we
again.
can run the first little video.
Oh, we have a video, okay.
Okay, what's the point of this video? The point of this video is exactly that alternative way of harvesting from the flower of the coconut. I think many of you will have heard of tuba, right?
Tuba.
Fresh tuba, the unfermented. So this is an example of the universe of products that we were able to do from the sap from the flower of the coconut. And why did we choose to do it like this? Because with a few palms, we could create a lot of value. We don't have to wait all the 7 years for all the planting to achieve at this time. And at the same time, I realized that what we need is we really need to build our own brands so that we can start to set the ambition for all the various activities that needs to be involved in this. And that is what we believe is the future of farming, knowledge-based, where we can adopt technology. Okay, but here's the next part. How can you get involved? Because there are many different companies like us who are aspiring to come out there. And how can you help to make an impact? Because once you start to do this, it's an ecosystem. And maybe you can help to sell the vegetables or help bring the products. So there are also other kind of opportunities, entrepreneurship opportunities that are coming out from agriculture. So with us, you can become a sales agent. You can become a brand ambassador. You can actually even get access to getting those products and selling them at wholesale prices. Because what we are trying to do is actually create an ecosystem of entrepreneurship where anybody can get involved in this. And when we, all Filipinos, and imagine we have 10 million Filipinos all over the world who are proud to share Filipino products. So again, you can earn an extra income, you can have a side hustle, or you can actually make it a full-time occupation. We have full-time agents already in markets overseas that are earning from promoting these products. And I think this is one of the ways in which we can overcome that access to market from a relatively small base. So with that simple process for registration, go to our website, sign up, and be part of this. If you want to taste, there's a booth over here. There are free drinks for everyone. Just go over there. And by the way, we have a special gift for you today. If you go to Lazada, the power of slow, 50% off today, any volume, just for this event today. But make sure you do it today because tomorrow it's gone.
You're like the Oprah of agribusiness. Oh my gosh, 50% off for everybody, free drinks. Okay, no, but I love that. Do you guys also, I think when I first sat down with you guys, I thought the agribusiness was you yourself doing the actual farming, like you're out there. But Christian, gave us a view of like, you can be involved in other ways. You don't necessarily have to be the one out in the field, right? So do you guys offer the same in your companies?
On the weekends, I get my hands dirty. I'm involved with the farm.
And then you involve other people in different capacities in your operation.
Yes. And we try to employ the local community and share the education of what we're doing different. So hopefully they can share it with other people.
Oh, nice. You're so generous. What about you, Sir James?
Us, we have our own farms also.
You have your own farms.
We call it Christian Nucleus Farm. So we have our own farm of rice, we have our own company-owned durian farms, etc., something like that. That's how you can soften the blow. There's a lot of things happening. How about if you don't have the supplies? But it's very important that we know the market. Like for example, with durian. You know what? We're for the last 10 years, we're exporting 50, 100 million pesos durian, about 10 countries. When China opened up, 1 year alone, we exported around 2 billion pesos worth.
Whoa.
And that's only 0.3%,
Oh, wow.
not even 1%. So the demand is so high. So you need to look at the market. So for example, as an agripreneur, why do we go also? We're not just planting rice, we're planting also corn, high value crops. And Angie and I are talking earlier, we need to develop those security crops. Why? Rice is susceptible to weather. So sa bagyo. So what we did is that we encourage our farmers, we finance our farmers to also plant 1,000 square meter of vegetable. Why? Because for 1,000 square meter of vegetable, we can already recover whatever cost we had for a 1 hectare of farm. And that we can start harvesting on that second, third month. Compared to rice that we're looking at 120, 150 days including the land preparation. And you're susceptible to typhoon, something like. So you need to be very creative on how to protect your investment. And I encourage everyone to go Negosyo. Why? Because we have mentoring sessions. We can help you guys on how to formulate your own feasibility study. That you can have an economy of scale, and the Go Negosyo people will link you to the right people. So for example, you talk about dragon fruit. Luis, he's expert in that. If you talk about coconut, for example, Christian,
Right.
if you're in that area. So if you talk about rice and other crops, like we can help and assist our farmers. So that's how we can mingle and help each other.
Yeah. Can we touch on that, the problems? Because you just said, like, kunwari, rice, susceptible to weather. Kung may bagyo, alam mo na, it's gonna be an issue. What are the common, like challenges that you encounter when you're in the agribusiness? Yung mga ganyan, and how do you overcome them? Luis, do you want to start?
Well, with agriculture, no, it's very much dependent on supply and demand. It is also very much dependent on market access. And so everything is very volatile. So you have to be updated of everything that is happening, supply side, on the market side, crop side, the consumer trends. What are the people eating now? Are their eating habits changing? Are the consumers now more involved with nutritional food as versus these kinds of crops? And so that gives you sort of a basis, no? Where do I position my business? Where do I create my niche? But in general, medyo ano siya, volatile na when it comes to pricing of inputs, pricing of the markets, So when you sell it, the prices could be high today, but then tomorrow, by the time you harvest your own crop, piso na lang o 2 piso na lang siya per kilo.
I understand that because people always compare our prices to Benguet province. And pag binagyo ang Benguet, tataas lahat ng price. But the thing with us, we grow greenhouse. So for us, consistent ang price namin kasi consistent yung yield, consistent yung control namin sa factors to grow.
Kasi
So,
greenhouse siya.
Yes.
Okay.
So we paid more upfront for the setup, but the long term for us is easier to manage kasi yun. But the problem nga is sometimes you can't beat the outdoor farms because the cost is very low to set up, right? But when the typhoon comes, it wipes everything away, and having a backup plan makes sense.
But I will share a contrast to that. Because once you go to producing, like, imagine you would make your own sauces, or you would make your own any kind of product that is based on agricultural raw materials. The moment you create a brand, you don't change your price, right? When you're in the commodity end of this, your price is fluctuating all the time. We never change our price, right? So that is why I keep saying that the future of farming really belongs to us being more bold, being more courageous to create Filipino brands that and look for more efficient ways to connect with market, which means many of you have grown up in a tradition, in a time where you know how to work with computers, where you know how to work in social media. There are so many innovative ways today of connecting with market. And you might be surprised to learn that in everything that you see from us, we never used a single external person. No IT consultants, no advertising agencies. Everything is produced by the people from within the community. So meaning we learned all those skills. So I would argue, if we can do it, you can do it. So go for it.
Parang to expound on your idea, we produce so many chili peppers that sometime next year I'm making my own hot sauce. Because we have an abundance of chilies and vegetables, let's face it, they degrade over 5 to 7 days, right? You throw it away. So rather than having a waste product, you convert the waste product into something that's pickled, fermented, frozen, and then you can extend the shelf life. And then you can now add markup on it and create your brand and create this downstream market.
I was talking to one of the awardees from earlier today. They are now making a sauce. And then they're going from that and saying, oh, that sauce should be on a sandwich. So they are reinventing a sandwich for the Filipinos, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's really about creativity. So think out loud, create a vision, and be bold.
Love it, love it. Can we address that although, because I was also wondering about wastage in the agribusiness realm, right? Because as you pointed out, Angie, there's a shelf life to these, products. So how do you deal with that? And what advice would you give? Although yours was great, you turned it into a product.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be any wasting stage in farming because you can compost, but for the vegetables, you can pickle it, which is like kimchi or sauerkraut, or you can create frozen goods. Like we freeze dry a lot of our ginger and our flour so that you can make tea. So there are certain processes. You can dehydrate tomatoes and then have sun-dried tomatoes. So there's ways to convert something into something that can last longer without having the need of refrigeration.
Right, right.
But I'll give you an additional one on that. We are zero waste. Zero
Really?
waste. But more than that, we even collect the waste of others. So everything that the community is throwing away, the old fish, the old shells, everything, the old banana, everything, we collect, and we turn it into bioorganic fertilizer and give it economic value. And I know you're doing the same. So
Actually,
again, we calculated that there is more value in waste than there is in the product itself. So again, innovation, think about sustainability, and I think there's a bright future for any entrepreneurial person who wants to attack farming.
You can even
Luis.
push it further because aside from collecting waste, right, and turning it into products, you can actually even connect it in other parts or other aspects of the farming business. For example, you do, let's say, process, in our case, right? So when we process dragon fruit, you can process the flesh into powder, puree, other products. But then the skin, you can now use it as feed for other crops or for livestock, So some of them, they use it as feeds for their pigs, for their carabaos, for their cows. And so now you create a circular economy within the farming industry itself. So it now pushes it further because now it becomes applicable to everything else, right?
This is so fascinating. Yeah. We don't have a whole lot of time left. We have to wrap this up. How about we just go very quickly, around the panel? Your final words to our OFWs who might want to get into the agribusiness.
For me, anything you want to learn is on YouTube. So everything that I've learned from my life, I'm a hotel graduate, but I learned a lot from YouTube, talking to experts, and meeting interesting people and hearing how they do things differently.
Sir James.
You know what? The best asset, I think, no, to all of us, Filipinos, we are very resilient. We are very resilient. So let's continue to have that attitude. Let's bring those resiliency to agriculture, especially to our OFWs. Sabi ko nga, hindi ko kaya yung maging OFW. I cannot be away, no, that long with my family.
Not easy, yeah.
And you having that resiliency, translate that resiliency to agriculture, you will be more productive. You will create a lot of things. So continue to be like that. Let's continue to be resilient, and let's always trust our foundation that there's a God that who will help us always.
Oh my gosh, so inspiring. Okay, Christian.
Use Go Negosyo. Don't be shy. I myself have had a very rewarding learning and made so many interesting people by just simply stepping out in the world, not sitting back with my ideas alone. And Go Negosyo is a great place to go and have mentoring or to be inspired or even to find comfort if you run into some problems. So use Go Negosyo.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah. Yes, let's give a round of applause to Go Negosyo for making all of this possible. And there was mention of a mentoring program earlier as well, right? So you should definitely take advantage of that. Luis.
To end it, I think we have to keep pushing and continuously develop ourselves. But most importantly, we have to keep embracing change. As we go through everything, the world changes, the economy changes, the business models changes, everything changes. And so if we use our resiliency, our creativity, and our mind and intellect to put it all to embrace change and create something from there, then in any business, you can actually be successful.
Thank you very much. Again, a round of applause, please, for our panel, our agri-business panel. We learned so much. That was so informative. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us and your knowledge. If we could please take a photo, please, before I send you guys off. All right, everyone. The agribusiness is a very suitable business. Agreeing-agree po tayo dyan.